Welcome. You're listening to an original story written and narrated by me. This is an early audio draft shared as a storytelling experience. I hope you find something here that stays with you. Now, let's begin.
Chapter 1. The Neon Glitch. The rain in the Upper Olympus heights didn't just fall, it performed. It was aesthetic rain, a trademarked weather pattern engineered by Aeolus Corp to catch the neon light of the skyscrapers without actually soaking the silk suits of the elite. To most, it was a shimmering, golden mist. To Cassian Thorne, it was a headache. Through his true sight, the mist wasn't gold. It was a flickering grid of humidity-controlled nanobots, a low-level glamour meant to mask the smell of the smog rising from the neon district below. Cass adjusted the strap of his tool bag, the heavy iron wrenches inside clinking like a funeral bell. He stood before the entrance of the ether, a nightclub that looked like a jagged tooth of obsidian jutting into the clouds. "Fix us here," Cass muttered into his lapel mic. "About time." Thorne, a voice crackled back. It was Marcus, the club's mortal floor manager, his voice vibrating with the kind of high-pitched panic that only comes when a god is unhappy. The VIP lounge, literally breathing. "If the paparazzi see this, we're all faded. Use the service lift. Now." Cass didn't argue. He pushed through the service entrance, leaving the gold mist for the recycled, ozone-heavy air of the back hallways. He preferred the guts of the building anyway. The guts didn't lie. The lift climbed 60 floors in a heartbeat, the gravity assist making Cass's stomach do a slow roll. When the doors scraped open on the Dionysian suite, the smell hit him first. Fermenting grapes, damp earth, and something sharp, like a crushed wasp.
The hallway was gone. In its place was a claustrophobic tunnel of emerald green vines. They were thick as power cables, pulsing with a rhythmic, sickly light that hummed at a frequency that made Cass's true sight glitch. Tiny, bell-shaped flowers hung from the fire sprinklers, dripping a translucent, glowing nectar that hissed when it hit the expensive mahogany flooring. "Thorne, over here." Cass followed the voice, stepping carefully over a vine that looked like it was trying to swallow. A gold-plated lounge chair. In the center of the room stood Leo, a minor godling and nephew to Dionysius. He looked like a masterpiece 6'4", bronzed, muscle and blonde curls but under Cass's gaze. Leo was a vibrating mess of green-tinted energy, his true form leaking out of his pores like a broken pipe. I was just trying to grow a little garnish for the drinks," Leo stammered, his hands shaking. "I didn't mean to trigger a localized ecosystem." "You didn't," Cass said, kneeling to inspect a thick root that had cracked a floor-to-ceiling mirror. He pulled a pair of copper-rimmed goggles from his bag. They weren't for protection. They were for refraction. "You triggered a feedback loop. Your eye core is spiked with something, Leo. This isn't a natural growth spurt. It's a defensive response." Cass saw the traps then. Through the goggles, the room was a web of snare lines hair-thin, golden threads woven between the vines. One wrong step and the vines wouldn't just grow. They would constrict, turning the VIP lounge into a literal meat grinder. "Stay back, Leo. Don't pulse your energy. If you flare up, the room is going to try to eat us." Cass reached into his bag and pulled out a spray bottle filled with a dull, gray liquid iron suspension. Iron was a universal no to divine magic. It didn't break the spell. It grounded it, dragging the ethereal energy back down to the mud. He began to move with a surgical, practiced grace. He didn't see the beautiful plants. He saw the source code of the magic. He misted the air, and as the gray spray touched the vines, they didn't just wilt, they shivered and dissolved into gray ash. The sound like 1,000 tiny sighs. "You're fast," Leo noted, his voice dropping from a shriek to a whisper. The other FIXERS ... They usually use chants or incense. Chants are for people who want to feel important, Cass muttered, stepping over a snare line. Iron is for people who want to go home. Now, tell me about the drink you were mixing. What was in the bottle? Leo hesitated, his hand flying to the pocket of his silk blazer. Just standard nectar. Top shelf stuff. Cass stopped. He didn't look at Leo. He looked at the shadow Leo was casting. In this room, the shadows were wrong. They weren't falling away from the light. They were leaning toward the mirror. "You're lying, Leo. That mirror isn't cracked from the vines. It's cracked because something was trying to climb through it." Cass approached the glass. Through his true sight, the mirror was a swirling vortex of purple static. It wasn't a reflection anymore. It was an open port. "Someone gave you a booster, didn't they?" Cass asked, his hand hovering over the iron wrench in his belt. "A little purple drop in your nectar to make your party tricks look more godlike?" Leo's silence was his answer. Suddenly, the room's temperature plummeted. The bells of the flowers stopped dripping and started ringing a high, dissonant chime that shattered the remaining glassware on the bar. "Cleanup's over," Cass hissed, grabbing Leo by the collar of his expensive blazer. "We need to leave now." "But my uncle." "Your uncle isn't the one coming through that glass." As Cass dragged the godling toward the exit, the mirror behind them exploded. Not outward, but inward. A vacuum of shadow that sucked the ash and the vines into a central point of absolute blackness. From the center of the void, a hand emerged long, thin, and clad in a sleeve of liquid mercury. Cass didn't wait to see the rest. He jammed his iron wrench into the elevator's manual override, the metal sparking as it fought the building's magic. "The mirrors are looking back, Leo," Cass said, his heart hammering a rhythm against his ribs. "And they don't like what they see." The elevator doors hissed shut, just as a silver blade of mercury embedded itself in the mahogany. Cass slumped against the wall, his phone vibrating with a violent, rhythmic intensity. It was the emergency frequency. He flipped the phone open, and the voice of Calliope, the muse of epic poetry, erupted in a burst of static that tasted like copper. "Cassian, they're in the tower. You have to come." The song? It's the only thing left. Cass looked at the shattered display of his phone. The glitch was spreading. The world was finally starting to break. Thank you for spending time with me. If you enjoyed this story, you're welcome to like, subscribe, or simply listen again. New chapters will continue this story and others like it. Take care and rest well.